the media, is it becoming a tool in the hands of either into the hands of power or the corporates? Is it subserving its purpose? That is the question before us. But incidentally, amongst the panelists, I am the only fellow with a media background. For last 30-35 years I am in media. But no way less than me, Neelima garu and Narasimha, is many a times they are making media pieces, means reporting the scenario situation prevailing in the state and country. JaipalReddy garu is concerned, democracy is almost synonym for his political life. He was a true democrat and he used to love being a political professional, the perception and thought of democracy. If we consider these 2-3 elements which we now incorporated in the title of today's symposium, the media, democracy and JaipalReddy garu, these three are a beautiful triangle with internally connected. Once he was telling with me, I shared with the professors many a times that he used to say that media itself is my constituency. I don't think any contemporary politician in this country claiming himself so associated with media and saying that media is my constituency, either in power or in opposition, whatever the political position, but he was the very media savvy and media persons. I was there in Delhi for 1 year in 2004 and 5 when I was heading political bureau for under the Delhi bureau for largest circulated Telugu Delhi Inadu. I used to go there. I used to sit with him for hours together. Lakshmaka is very much here. He used to get frequently repeated rounds of chai and snacks. He used to enjoy with spending journalists, and every year he used to organize one big lunch or dinner with the journalists in Delhi. I participated 2 such programs there in Delhi, and the fashion, the love towards to democracy and democratic values. That's why democracy has to be strengthened with the supportive institutions like media. The sole purpose of media itself has to act as the bridging force between the people and the rulers. But even in Indian condition, Narasimha was making big remarks against the media in India, and professors have also till recent he was not lost his hope on media, but in the recent times, at least for last 1 year, he is disgusted with media. Earlier he was having a lot of hope, but my humble request to you that we has to see the positive side of media also. In the last 100 years, if we see in India, the contribution of media for the betterment of society in different dimensions and the sphere of the life, its contribution was a lot. And at the same time, over a period of time, I can give an example here. When Irom Sharmila, after breaking her 18 years of silence against that special powers to the army forces, she organized one press conference. So before that day, there was a leak from their team that she is entering into the politics. By taking that, after a long gap of 18 years, she is opening mouth and speaking something. There was a big gathering of media people, and one fellow posed a question to Sharmila that, is it true you are coming into politics? Then simply she said yes. Then his immediate question was that politics are so dirty. Then her sharp reaction is that, as of our society. So either politics or media, we cannot see it isolated by bringing it out of the society. The decline in everywhere, that is everywhere the degradation of values, decline in the professionalism, efficiency and its commitment and conviction towards its targeted and aims of that particular institution in this country. Similarly, we have to see the media, but media over a period of time, if you see the media 150 years back when British rule was there, subserving the purpose of British colonial ruler, hiding many things and revealing very limited amount of information into the public domain was the practice of media of that time. But the historic moment, the independent struggle, the media did tremendous and an historic job, which is the role model for the entire world. That sort of contributions was made by media in this country. Most of the freedom fighters, either they are the advocates at bar, or most of them the prolific writers of that time. Even Mahatma Gandhi used to say that two things I can quote for my lifetime in achieving this independence helped me. I utilized optimum those two. One is traveling a nook and corner of the country by using the railways. The second one is using the media to disseminate my thought process into the public domain for motivating them. These are the two he used to quote Mahatma. So like that, media, a tremendous job, but post independence also in the early 60s and 70s up to in the middle of 80s, and just Professor was rightly mentioning that the LPG, liberalization, privatization and globalization almost ruined the role of media in this country because of the lumpen capital is coming into this media. I can't speak much today against the media because I am there for last 30 years. I am everything there, so that's why my voice may not be louder against the media, but I will try to focus the positive side in strengthening the democracy. Democracy, we all, without any barriers and without any conditions, we have to love like the democracy, because democracy is the way for the entire world today for a better society. I would like to quote again JaipalReddy Garu as far as the democracy is concerned. Professor rightly mentioning that all we must go with that book of great Sinha. Yashwant Sinha made an observation that without giving the title of the author, if anybody gives this book to me, I was in the impression that this by a renowned professor of international standard. But I know that this is by JaipalReddy Garu. That is the greatness of that book. In that, he says about the democracy, I will quote, despite repeated and continual setbacks in various parts of the world, democracy continues to have an undiminished appeal for people. Its popularity compels all sorts of rulers to promise electoral democracy. It's true that elections, when held, are often rigged and people are swayed diversionary ethnic slogans, but democracy as a political system is universally acknowledged. This is after centuries of evolution of process in the administration, ultimately which is largely accepted across the globe is the democracy. So that's why we, though we sometimes embarrassing situation we may face in this democracy because of numericals. Today all the political parties are after numbers. Today if you pick any newspaper today, either for the state politics or the central politics, they are like the generation today, the students marching after MARKS, Marx. Once it was after Marx, Karl Marx, but today the students going after the Marx. How many our child getting out of 198 or 99 or what that Marx? Today those numbers are becoming big figure in the minds of the political bosses today to how to develop our numbers, because unfortunately our democracy 49 is equal to 0 whereas 51 is equal to 100. That number game is there in the democracy. So 49 0, 51 is 100 and the difference is 2 equal to 100. That's why all the political bosses today of ruling political spectrum is doing mockery of democracy. In that area, the media, by disseminating information into the public domain, it has to educate and motivate the people for defeating this sort of political approaches of contemporary political scenario. That media has to do tremendous role. We should not lose hope at this juncture, because for the media, its commission and omission, for its writing and not writing, for all these things, with the proprietary coming into the content management and disseminating information as they desired, and that interventions of proprietary. Earlier this was not there. When I came into the profession 35 years back, the scenario was totally different, but today the situation is totally different. For that, what is the remedy? We should not lose the hope. Again I will quote JaipalReddy Garu in his 10 Ideologies book. While concluding that book, he makes a beautiful observation. I again quote here, let hope trump over the despair. Hope should not be based on such an event as to the neglect negative assessments. Negativity can be countered by the nobility. Negativity can be countered by nobility. 500 years back, what Mahamantri Timmarusu did when Krishnadevaraya asked him to reduce this line without cutting it and simply drawing a bigger line beside. That sort of nobility should come, as the Rig Veda rightly says, let noble thoughts come to us from every side. All said and done, everything depends upon the thought. And elevating thoughts can potentially eliminate all threats to humanity by building a bridge, access to the great asymmetry. That's exclusively a chapter by JaipalReddy Garu, that asymmetry between the tradition of agrarianism and the transformation of industrialization. In the similar lines, I unquote here, and in the similar lines, how JaipalReddy Garu produced a symmetry between the agrarianism and industrialism. Here, the truth and the myth. That is a big widening gap here today, which has to be filled by the media by disseminating right information into the public domain with its true committed and conviction for the strengthening and healthy strengthening of democracy. Media has to do its role. The eminent speakers are here with their vast experience, can give proper inputs which can alter the media present day functioning and bringing that into the right track of media's role for the strengthening democracy. Thank you one and all.